Hello, I am now going to do a test of all the pens that I've got on the Surface Pro, and as you can see here I've got them all here, all the different ones. I have got the Surface Pro 4 pen, which I'll just find here, the one with the clip on, so I'll test that one first. Then I have got the one without the clip, which is the one that Microsoft has just fixed. So the plan with this is I am not going to draw them horizontally or vertically, of course. This is just so you can easily see all the names of the pens that I'm going to test. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this at a 45-degree angle, and then I'm going to draw diagonal lines very, very slowly from that point along like that, just to see what the comparison is in between all these, well, I'll say Surface pens. I have also included a bonus one, a Wacom pen, because I actually have a Cintiq QHD27, so I can compare to see how good that is compared to all these other N-Trig pens on the Surface Pro. Going down through, Donut Ink is the one that I was using all the time because of the nib was very nice, I thought, very much like the Apple Pencil, and it has virtually zero activation force as well. Only problem is it's a bit flimsy, it's a bit light, and I did like the feel of this pen here. It does feel very nice, and I like the nibs as well, they're nice and grippy. And then the Bamboo Ink, which is okay, it's a good all-rounder, I think. It's nice to have a spare in case anything else goes wrong. Okay, first things first, Surface Pro 4 pen, and of course we know with this one is that we're going to get a slight offset because it hasn't got any tilt to it, but we'll still can do something with this to see whether it has any diagonal jitter or not. First thing to do is to take this here and let's rotate it. Let's rotate this to 315. And there we go. I might just make it a bit smaller. I think that's good enough. You can see the lines that I'm going to be racing along to see whether I can keep the right single track or not, or whether I get jitter. So let's accept that. And move on to my layer, and I'm going to put it in, so I'm running in ArtRage and I'm going to put it into pencil mode. Just straightforward, very simple. It does have a smoothing option, but as you can see it is set to 0 at the moment. Right, we have all this set to a 45-degree angle. Let's do the first one. I have the grid lines here to give me a guideline, so I'm going to try and focus as much as I can and keeping the tip right along the line and seeing where it goes. This one may be quite difficult because it's going to have an offset anyway, but hey ho. Ooh, we're having weather. Right, let's give this a go. Right, and it's colour black by the way, so it should be fairly clear. Right, here we go. Very, very slowly. I'm just trying to keep right on the line. Just trying to keep right on it. Slow as I can bear it. Just going off a bit there, but that's just me. But it's quite difficult to focus on it, especially when you have the offset. There we go. That's that. And you can see there is a bit of a jitter there. Not too bad though. And as you can see, if you really look closely, there is a bit of an offset there, but that's okay. On to the Surface Pro 2017, the one with the fix. Here we go. Right, off we go again. Let's just try and focus very, very, very slowly, very carefully. Along we go. And there we go. Don't think that's too bad, but of course it's not quite as good as a straight line. But that ain't too bad. Now for the Adona ink. And of course that Surface Pro was a lot better because it went right on the line and it wasn't kind of veering from left to right as I was going along. And I proved in my previous video that the offset has gone and it's kind of a offset stroke jitter thing going on, and jitter can be interpreted in a couple of different ways. This is just checking on jitter, which is kind of just a line jittering backwards and forwards when you're trying to do the straight line. So in comparison of the two, I think they're pretty similar. But maybe Surface Pro 2017 is a little bit better. Straight line, yeah, that looks pretty good. Right. Oh, look, that is serious weather. Absolutely hammering it down. It's had enough of this hot weather. Anyway, let's try the Adona ink. This is the one that I'm favouring at the moment. Let's just focus on this. And here we go. It's pretty slow, going along on the line if I possibly can do. There we go. Well, that's fairly jittery, I'd say, but it's certainly more jittery than the Surface Pro pens, I would have to say. Let us now try the bamboo ink. Here we go. Again, let's run the test. Let's start drawing. It does feel to be a bit of an offset when I'm drawing compared to the other pens. Similar to the Surface Pro 4 pen. Bit of an offset, and the jitter is fairly pronounced. Seemed to get better towards the end, but I would say the jitter is very similar to the Adona. Possibly, it's difficult to tell, but I'd say that that's pretty damn similar. And I'd have to say the Surface Pro ones are actually a lot better. And I have to say that with the jitter, Surface Pro 2017 is probably the winner out of these. If I just go back to the Surface Pro pen, Surface Pro, here we go. You know, if you're starting to do what you normally would do as an artist, or even if you're writing, you really don't notice it. It's just not that bad, it's fine. It's certainly usable. And I suspect that if I do it to the slightly jittery Adona ink, even if I start using that and draw kind of at the normal speed, I'm actually getting a little bit, you can see it's slightly wavy. Yeah, slightly wavy. But the Surface Pro, and if we go back to the Surface Pro 4, just try that. Yeah, I could certainly feel the offset, but a little bit of waviness. It's not too bad. And just, I know I was rotating the camera there, but just remember that all these are diagonals. These are all at 45 degrees. So these are true tests on the diagonal. Okay, let's now try and plug it into the Cintiq 27 and see what happens. Ready to go. Right, let's give this a go then. Wow. Gotta be honest, that is pretty damn good. That is pretty straight. That's almost straighter than the straight line. That is, well, it just shows you what Wacom technology can do, what you get for paying that extra money. They really have perfected their pens. They really, really have. Okay. I think my conclusion in this is that, of course, with the ArtRage, there is a little bit of jitter at the moment, especially on diagonals, and it's certainly more pronounced in the non-Microsoft ones, I have to say. The Surface Pro pens are actually better than these extra ones. With the Surface Pro 4 you have the standard offset, because it doesn't cater for tilt. But the jitter is pretty comparable between the two, but I'd have to say that the Surface Pro 2017 is slightly better. They have definitely ironed things out a bit. And naturally, because I use my Surface Pro for digital art, I'm not going to be going that slowly anyway. I'm just going to be going fairly quickly. And these lines just seem to be fine. I've got by on the Adona ink for a while, mainly because I use ArtRage and I use quite thick paint, and I don't really notice any jitter too much, and I make my strokes pretty quickly. But on that test, doesn't look great. And with the bamboo ink, I did think there was a slight offset when it first started off. Certainly compared to doing one after the other, that bamboo ink just felt a bit weird compared to the others. And then the Cintiq QHD, well, what have I got to say? That's what you get when you buy a Wacom product. Any comments, just stick them down below. If anyone wants me to do any more testing with any of these pens I've got, then just ask me and I'll do other tests. If it's jitter tests or any other sorts of tests, I have a QHD to do a comparison with the Surface Pro. Just put a comment down below. Okay, thanks very much.